Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you all. I know I am standing between you and lunch. So as Kim Kardashian probably told Chris Humphries, I won't keep you long. I'm done. I gotta leave, George. But before I get started, I'd like to take a quick point of personal privilege, if I can. There are many in the audience that had a lot to do with me standing up here before you right now. Quickly comes to mind our Secretary-Treasurer of the State, Steve Wilding, our Vice President of 311, Kevin Sherry, our lobbyist from the PFFW, Joel Stroll, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about two people that really made me who I am today. First, we know that all things in our union start at the local level. We have a great champion as my local president at the 5th District IFF Vice President, and Joe Conway. Joe has been a friend, a leader, and has really brought me up through the ranks, so to speak, through 311. Now, me and Joe don't always agree on everything, but at the end of the day, I know that he's got my back and I have his, and that he cares about the members and I care about the members. So I'd like to give a shout out to Joe Conway, Jr., 5th District Vice President. Thank you, Joe. Now also, a man who I've come to know very well in the past year, our General President, President Shapeberger. I can tell you one of the first calls I got when I took over January 11th of 2011, last year, to be president of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin was from Mr. Shapeberger. Now, when I first got the call, I obviously knew who he was. I've admired his work from afar, but I was a little bit intimidated, I'm not gonna lie to you, a little bit intimidated because I've never actually seen a general president really smile. So I said, well, he's a serious guy. But after I got to know him over the years, and after I got to know him in the past year and a half, he's not only a mentor to me, brought me up through the ranks of international, but he's a boss, and I like to call him one of my best friends. So I appreciate your work, Mr. President. So brothers and sisters, I'm humbled, honored and privileged to be before you right now. But I gotta tell you, it wasn't always this easy. I wasn't always this fluent, so to speak. I came on the job at 20 years old. I also have two brothers in the fire service. My older brother works in Atlanta Fire Department. My younger brother works in St. Paul, Minnesota. So I came on the job at 20 years old. I'd like to share a quick, brief story with you. So we all know, and I don't gotta explain to you the hierarchy of control in the fire service. So I came on the job at 20 years old. I'm out of fire academy. I was told in fire academy, do what you're told and don't say anything. Be seen and not heard, they said. So my first day in my station, I went in, talked to my lieutenant the day before. I said, Lieutenant, what do you expect of me? He said, well, Mitchell, I want you to be on time and I don't want you to screw up. I said, don't screw up, what does that mean? He says, well, it means everything. Don't screw up. So on time means we start in Madison at 7 a.m. So the day I go in on Monday morning, I walk into the station, I've got my gear, I've got everything, I get there at 6 a.m. I brought 24 donuts for 4 guys. But I walk in at 6 a.m., we don't start till 7 a.m., all lights are out. So I walk in, I sit in the watch room, I'm sitting there by myself, put the donuts on the table. My lieutenant rolls up at about 6:30 in his Harley Davidson. He says, Mitchell, I'm glad you listened to my first command. Be on time. Now don't screw up. I said, great. Lieutenant, what do you want me to do? He says, well, put your gear on, put the flag up. I'm like, wow, my first command, my first order. My brother's a firefighter, my other brother wants to be a firefighter. This is like the real deal here. So I go in my gear, or my bag, and I've got my gear. It's like a shiny new penny. We've all seen it. I go grab my bunkers and I put them on. I put my turnout coat on. I go in back of the engine and grab my mask, and I'm putting it all on. And I got my helmet, I'm just about to grab it, and he walks out of the watchroom, he says, Mitchell, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm putting my gear on, Lieutenant. He goes, no, put your gear on the rig, not on. I said, I knew that, I was just trying to see if it fit or not. So let's get to it. In Wisconsin and actually across the nation now, we have a chant, show me what democracy looks like. And then the crowd screams back to me, this is what democracy looks like. We're not going to do that right now because we don't have time. But right now, in Wisconsin and across the United States, they're showing us what hypocrisy looks like. We live in a time where good, decent American values are being trumped by political interest. We live in a time where bad politicians are being put in office by good people who don't vote. We live in a time where you can run a state by saying our state is broke or we need shared sacrifice. But you can't even take a call from a constituent, but you can take a call from who you thought was one of the Koch brothers. We live in a time where you can take over $1 billion from public education and say it's working. We live in a time nationally where you can run for the highest office in the world, the President of the United States, with a plan like 999, and be taken seriously. It sounds like a damn pizza special. But right now, brothers and sisters, in Wisconsin and across the nation, they are trying to eliminate our voice. They are trying to discredit us. They are trying to desensitize us, and they're trying to defund us. But I gotta tell you, we were asleep, or a lot of public sector unions were asleep in 2008. They told us back in January in the state of Wisconsin that we have a $3.6 billion structural deficit, that we can't keep kicking the can down the road. But what do we see in January of last year? Corporate tax loopholes. We are open for business, it's called. So if you come in from Minnesota, Illinois, or Iowa, you have 2 years of paying no income tax. But they said our state is broke and we need shared sacrifice. Top 1% of the wealthy in our state, tax cut. They brought back what's called the Las Vegas loophole for multi-state corporations. They told us after the protests in June that it was going to cost $7.5 million to clean the Capitol. $7.5 million. I told them to give us 5 bottles of Gooby Gone and the firefighters would do it for half that price. But they didn't take us up on that. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, this is an attack. This is an attack on the middle class. This is an attack on our way of life. They talk about shared sacrifice. Right now, it seems like we sacrifice and they share the wealth. So then we had the big budget come in June. And what do we see there? Over $1 billion taken from public education. 12,000 women that used to go to Planned Parenthood, not for the woman's right to choose, but for basic health care, cut. 30% cut from tech colleges. Voter ID, voter registration, which I like to call voter suppression, taken from us. Child labor law weakened. If you're under the age of 18 years old, you can work more hours and more days per week in the state of Wisconsin right now. And of course, we all know the budget repair bill, stripping unions of their right to bargain. And I can keep going on and on and on, but I won't do that. But over the next 10 years, our Legislative Fiscal Bureau has said that we will have $2.3 billion in massive tax cuts to corporations and the wealthy. Shared sacrifice. So when the administration came to us and told us that you guys can sit this one out, we don't want you at the protests. We don't want you at the rallies. We not only told them no, but we told them hell no, because we will not sit out. We'll be there with our brothers and sisters, standing in solidarity. And that's what we've done, and that's what the firefighters of Wisconsin have continued to do, and we will do it until the job is done, brothers and sisters. Because right now we live in the United States of America, but it doesn't feel like that, does it? It feels like we live in United Corporations of America. At what time did nurses, teachers, firefighters, snowplow drivers become the problem? They don't want to talk about the real problem. Deregulation of banking, Wall Street. At what time do we stop calling the rich and wealthy, which is nothing wrong with being rich and wealthy. But now we transcend, we call them job creators. Back in the 19th century, they called them robber barons. But how do we stop this communism of millionaires? Abraham Lincoln said it best. If any man tells you he loves America, yet hates labor, he is a liar. If any man tells you he trusts America, yet fears labor, he is a fool. We are dealing with fools, ladies and gentlemen. What does our union provide? One of the greatest strengths of the union is that we have helped to build and sustain a strong middle class, the best middle class in the world. So when they said we want good workers, we want you on time, we want you not to call in sick, we said that's fine. We want decent hours, decent wages, decent working conditions. Unions right now are helping ensure a balance of power. so that corporate interests and greed don't trump our decent American values. Now it's truth time, though, at least for the state of Wisconsin. We had 39.6% of union members in our state vote for Scott Walker. 39.6% vote for his current administration. So that's our problem. We have to work hard at that and do a better job as leaders to talk about the issues that really affect us. Because I don't care right now if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican. If you're not doing the job, we got to get them the heck out of there. Because we got to make sure they're taking care of decent American values right now. I started this job at 20 years old, as I said. We've all dedicated our lives to service, community service. We have all taken a solemn oath to protect lives and property, but we've taken one step further. All you out here are leaders, saying that we're going to work for our own union members for decent hours, wages, and working conditions. And that's why I love this IAFF, because we are a union of givers. We are a union of service providers to our communities, but we are also a union of fighters. And right now we have a fight in Wisconsin and all over America. We need new, fresh leaders who understand the needs of many, not just a select few. Someone with new ideas that are not out of touch from our everyday reality and our everyday surroundings. We need candidates that are concerned with serving the people of their state and country, not just holding a seat. That's why I announced a week ago, as President Shapeberger said, my candidacy for Lieutenant Governor of the state of Wisconsin in the recall election. Because brothers and sisters, right now we are down, but we're not out. Right now the House of Labor is on fire nationally. But we here as IAFF firefighters, as Joe Conway says, we are here to put the fire out. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? Yeah. Are you with me? I hope you're with me. And that's why I'm glad to have the endorsement in my recall election of this IAFF. That's why I'm glad to have an endorsement of local firefighters 311. That's why I'm already glad to have the endorsement of local 112 firefighters from LA. That's why I'm glad to have an endorsement from New York City officers. And that's why I'm glad to have support from Chicago, Connecticut, Boston, because we are all in this together. We didn't start this fight, but if it's a fight they want, it's a fight they're going to get. But we have the fierce urgency of now to make sure this fight is over. We have to fight like hell for the middle class and impoverished individuals in our state. Because this is not just a union fight, this is a fight about the middle class. It is time, brothers and sisters. It is time. It is time for us to have a land where people will not take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few. It is time to stop believing that senseless rhetoric about shared sacrifice and our state is broke and fight like heck to work for what our members have earned in the past. Because if you believe everything about shared sacrifice and our state is broke, I got news for you. I got to tell you like a wise man once said, you've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled. You've been led astray. You've been run amok. You've been misled. We can't let this happen to us. It's time for unions to redefine themselves. Instead of just servicing our members, we got to educate, mobilize, and galvanize our young members. We got to make sure we work hard for our young members, because our young members right now, we all know what a flash mob is. Where you're sitting in the airport, you're sitting at a train station, nobody's shaking their head yes, you guys don't know what a flash mob is? You're sitting in the airport, you're sitting at a train station, all of a sudden there's 20 people come in trench coats and they're dancing all of a sudden. Then you're looking like, what the hell just happened? Then they leave. You ever seen that commercial where the guy didn't get the memo because he has 3G instead of 4G and he's dancing by himself? That's where our young members are right now. They're dancing by themselves because we're not giving them anything to do. So we got to make sure our young members are involved. And we got to stop and make sure our members are not just voting for the status quo. The gays, guns, and God have to go away. We got to vote for issues that actually affect our checkbooks. Because I don't know any Democrat trying to take away your guns. I don't know of any Democrat trying to take away your guns. I was going to go hunting once. In the fire academy, a guy said, hey, man, we'll go hunting. We'll have a great time. We'll go out there to Cabela's. We'll get you some gear. We'll go out there, have a great time, drink a little. We'll have a great time hunting. I said, oh, that's fine. He says, oh, it'll be great, man. You know what? Whatever's brown is down, he said. What's brown is down. And I said, well, just so you know, I've never been hunting. But we can't worry about a family that doesn't look like ours either. We got to make sure we work hard to not just worry about the gays, guns, and God. It's time for us to hold all politicians accountable, whether they're Democrat or Republican. And if they're not doing a job with the middle class, we got to get them the hell out of there as well. It's time for us to continue with the Wisconsin uprising, because we should never have been asleep. Then we can say we are Wisconsin. Then we can say we are Ohio. It's time for unions to get back into communities and build coalitions. Not just the lip service of having a 501c3 or having our charitable trust, but actually get back in the communities. Make sure that we are fixing people's bikes so that when people come there, they say, you're not closing down my fire station. You're not taking away my firefighters, because that's my fire station. Those are my firefighters. We got to make sure that we work on our young members. It is time, brothers and sisters, for us to choose community over chaos and work for our fellow man and our fellow woman. Because right now we are down, but we're not out. We have to be ready, armed, and equipped for the battle. And I've heard President Shapeberger say it many times. We got to bring everything to the game. Money, marbles, and chalk, everything it takes to play, and we will prevail. I see it as our calling. I see it as our duty for civil rights, labor rights, and American politics to join together to make this a better place for all, not just a select few. Our resolve, though, has to be stronger. Our pain has to last longer, and our passion has to run deeper. Because this is about justice. This is about history. And this is bigger than you, and this is bigger than me. And I guarantee when this is all said and done, we will be on the right side of justice, and we will be on the right side of history. God bless America and solidarity, brothers.